Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Seeker Daily. Again, I am Trace, and we're here at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And today, we're going to talk about delegates and the DNC itself and Bernie Sanders. That's going to be really great. Make sure you subscribe right here so that you get all of our content all week. We're going to be here for another couple of days. But first, I'm here, not alone, but with three different people. So we've got Lynette Hull. She's an alternative delegate for Hillary Clinton. We've got Valdez Bravo. He is a delegate for Bernie Sanders. And we've got RICARDO Reyes, who is with the Republicans for Hillary Clinton. So we've got a bunch of different topics here that we want to talk about. First, the roll call yesterday was awesome. There's so much energy in there.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that was like for you guys?
Okay, for sure. For me, I just thought to be in the room where the roll call was happening, it's such a historic moment in history. Throughout all the years of the DNCs of the other years, to be there when they elect, like when you nominate Hillary Clinton, like the first female of a major party, like it's incredible. And like the energy, like you said, just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was crazy, right? Did it feel the same for like being a Bernie delegate?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, us Berners were really loud and proud and passionate. It was great. I love the state of Oregon. I love my state, and it was just such an honor to be there to represent them, and just getting a chance to root for all those hard-earned votes we got for Bernie. It was really nice to be able to do that with my fellow delegates.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they say that everyone tunes in at night kind of for the speeches, but the best part really is the roll call. I mean, that's the most exciting part. I wish people would tune in for that, because that's actually where democracy takes place, right? Like, that's where you can like feel it. That's where you can see it. That's where it's like the electricity is just there. It's like people say like, oh, where are we with our democracy? But that's where it feels most alive. I mean, it's the best part by far of the campaign. And unfortunately, most people don't even know it happens.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really great point. I mean, I have followed politics for a long time, but to be in that room and watching all of these people and all of this time spent to work so hard for all of these different people to try and get in, you're basically working toward that moment all throughout the primary season.
Right.
And now we have a new season, a new chapter, you know. But to close out that kind of this chapter, we did have like the Bernie versus Hillary camp all throughout this primary season. And there was a walkout of Bernie delegates at one point. Can you talk a little bit about like what was going on there?
Yeah.
Sure. So one thing that I feel like, Bernie Sanders supporters have felt all year is the fact that we haven't been heard necessarily as far as what we're trying to accomplish with this political revolution. The kind of getting all the issues adopted into the Democratic National, the national platform of the Democrats. We have this most progressive platform in history. You've heard Bernie say that. I agree with that. But we think that we can go farther with it. And so we wanted to send some kind of message that we want to be heard, and that these are the things that we feel like we need to hear about too and have adopted for unity.
Yeah.
Because the unity is the theme of this convention, and so we decided to coordinate beforehand to do a walkout at the end of the roll call, and we went a couple hundred feet across from the convention doors into the media tent, and we occupied the media tent for about 90 minutes, and it was Bernie delegates from across all 57 states and territories united and talking about the same things that we've been talking about all year right there in the heart of the media at the convention. We felt that it was an opportunity to tell our story and tell the DNC and the Hillary campaign what we still feel like we need to be able to feel like we're invested in to come on board for unity.
Yeah, I mean, it was just right over here, like 50 feet away. It was pretty intense moments for a little while. You know, a lot of people coming in, they locked down the building for a little bit. And I mean, I guess, how did that feel being outside of it? Did you guys see what was going on?
I honestly had no idea what was happening until I noticed everyone walking out of the convention. I'm like, okay, I get what's happening now. They're going to do a walkout. I didn't know where they were going or what they were doing, where they were like ending up or anything like that. But it was a little strange.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect anything else, really. I did expect something to happen.
Yeah, I think after all of this effort, it's hard to kind of just end it and be like, okay, cool, woo. You know?
Right.
Well, I think there's this notion that conventions are these kind of celebratory events where people comes in and essentially the candidate is already chosen and everyone neatly comes in and it just becomes like a giant 1 week pep rally for the candidate. But that hasn't always been the case. That's been the case in recent history.
Yeah.
But the reason these conventions take place, I mean, they used to take place, is because delegates used to come from all over, and there was an actual debate and an actual discussion. And there are instances in American history and going back all the way, into Greek history times where these conventions are brought together to decide who the leader is going to be. But we have kind of this new notion that it's like everything should be sewn up nice and tight, and if there's any controversy, there's something wrong. That's the original purpose of the convention. You should have this lively discourse and debate, and people should feel that they want to be heard. And after that, everyone comes out a unified party with a unified nominee. But there should be healthy discussion in order to get there.
Could I add on to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's totally true. A lot of people were like, Sanders supporters, give it up, California, math.
Yeah.
And it's time to stop fighting. But a lot of us, especially with Bernie Sanders supporters being new to the process, he's pulled tremendous amounts of people into the political process for the first time. We're all thinking it's that kind of Democratic National Convention. We're all reading about stories about how FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, came into his convention behind on delegates and was able to use politicking and coalition building and conversation and negotiation on the floor to change the outcome of that convention, and he did. So we're looking at 1968 convention where you have the people on the floor and they're calling up, and it was chaos, but it was democracy. That's what democracy looks like.
Yeah,
That's true.
Coming in here, I think a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters felt kind of like, why are we already calling Hillary the nominee when we haven't had that vote? It's not till Tuesday. It's not till tomorrow. When are we going to get a chance to make our motions and do our floor? To have that discourse and talk about ideas and try to maybe woo some of these super delegates using polling numbers and other objective data to try to persuade them. But as you said, it's really kind of already decided by that point, and we're kind of coming in here just to kind of the ceremony.
I would have liked to seen a little more discourse in Cleveland a week ago, frankly. I mean, I know that there's a lot of Republican leaders who are not comfortable with Trump as the candidate. And I was disappointed that I didn't see more of that kind of pushback at that convention like you saw from the Bernie supporters at this convention. I think that's good for a healthy democracy to happen. There should be multiple voices.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as you said, that's what the conventions are supposed to be about.
Yeah.
It's only been in recent years that we've showed up, and this is likely because from an optics perspective, it's better to show up, have everything decided, have everybody on the same page, and then walk forward together, right? And you can still walk forward together, I feel like, even if you weren't walking in together, if that makes sense, right? You can walk out together even if you didn't walk in together.
I think it's very telling that the Bernie delegates waited until after the roll call vote and then walked out. I mean, it wasn't. I think they registered their protest and they were heard, but it wasn't a true disruption. I mean, they didn't come in to kind of demolish or destroy the convention itself. So the way they chose to protest, I thought was very telling and respectful.
And that was a big part of the conversation. We had set up, apps and social media connection tools to talk across those 57 states and territories with whips in each state representing and taking messages back to their people and keeping it on the down low until we were just ready to go with it. But that was a key part of the discussion. We knew that the mothers of the movement were going to be coming out fairly shortly after the roll call. We definitely wanted to show our support for them. The Black Lives Matter movement is a huge part of what we are all about in the People's Revolution. So we wanted to be there to support that. And so that was part of our timing. And we had people on the inside texting us and messaging us to keep us aware of when that was happening. And that was our big push to exit and end the occupation of the media tent, is because we wanted to get in there for those mothers of the movement.
Yeah. So you mentioned last week, as Republicans for Hillary Clinton, like you have a unique kind of experience for both of those weeks. Can you talk a little bit about how you ended up here at the DNC?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The fact of the matter is my background and where I come from and what I believe in is very much a free market, open trade, globalization type look. I believe that the United States has a responsibility, and actually it's good for the U.S. to kind of be a leader and include itself in conversations that are happening at a global scale. And I think the moment we step down and stop doing that, China or Russia or another power will step in and take that leadership role. So for various national security and economic reasons, I firmly believe that we need to stay engaged and continue to lead and be a global leader here. Unfortunately, the torchbearer for the Republicans now is somebody who is complete isolationist.
Very much so.
He is, just speaking on isolation and economic issues and national security issues, I think what he espouses is very, very dangerous, not to mention the xenophobic kind of racist, intolerant message that he's putting forward. So all around, it's somebody who I have no idea how the Republicans or people who call themselves Republicans based on, look, I came here from Nicaragua. We fled a communist revolution to come here. And in those days, the Republicans very much took a very strong anti-communist, pro-opportunity position where they said, look, anyone can come here and work hard and make it. That's part of the reason I'm sitting here with you today.
Very pro-business.
And so I do not recognize what's happening right now as far as that current candidate. And so, on the other hand, Hillary Clinton has shown in her time at the Senate, in her time as Secretary of State, a willingness that few others have shown to kind of reach across the aisle on particularly important issues. Because the fact of the matter is, we're a two-party system, and one party's not going to get it done. And we've seen what kind of that lockdown can do through Bush and Obama administrations. Neither administration can get the things they need to get done.
Yeah.
She authored bills that were bipartisan. She reached across the aisles on specific issues that were good, be there on infrastructure, be there on trade issues, be there on national security issues, be there on taxation issues. And I think actually we can get a lot more accomplished by working together. But I just don't hear that from the current Republican nominee, Donald Trump.
Right. So you kind of coming out here to say, like, look, if there are other Republicans, we can figure this out together. But
yeah, I think part of the idea is that that voice that I just espoused just isn't out there. And so I think from Trump pushing an isolationist point of view, Bernie pushing a more or less kind of let's get our house in order before we do free trade, and free trade is bad kind of position. My worry is that other position isn't being spoken at all, and the Republicans aren't doing it. That's been our responsibility historically to do it. So I wouldn't say I broke with the Republicans. I say I definitely broke with the Republican leadership, and I definitely broke with the de facto leader of the party. But you wouldn't imagine the amount of phone calls and encouragement I've gotten from true kind of free market, individual liberty conservatives that have called me and said, I'm there. I want to do what you can. And I think Trump is an existential threat to the existence of the United States.
I mean, you could almost call it classical republicanism at this point, right? In this being new republicanism almost.
I think so. I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think what you're seeing with the Trump influence is more of the xenophobic right-wing extremism that you're seeing in Europe.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of keep the immigrants out. We should push away from trade issues. Let's not work with other countries. This kind of hyper isolationist, kind of racist undertone. It's more of an import. I mean, neither party historically has done that. Just so blatantly. And so, no, I think there have been voices. I think there have been voices that heretofore haven't felt that they had a voice. I think you'll see things like David Duke, former KKK member, now running for Senate, saying that Donald Trump inspired him to do this. And so I think these voices that didn't really find a place in either party now find a place in a party led by Donald Trump. And I think it's a case of, unfortunately, these negative voices almost acting like a parasite coming into the Republican Party and eating it from the inside out. And I think if Trump wins, I think it's the death of the Republican Party as we know it.
One thing that I was telling people that I talked to at the media occupation was, we feel like, we definitely don't want Trump. We don't want Trump, and like Bernie, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that Trump is not the nominee. But we want something to also vote for. We don't want something strictly to vote against.
Right.
And so as you say, neo-republicanism, a lot of people think of neoliberalism as being, being a liberal or being a progressive, and then some. But a lot of us feel like the neoliberal policies of the first Clinton administration and a lot of the free trade and deals proposed by the upcoming potential Clinton administration are really not what we're about and what's good for the working class and middle class Americans. And that's contributing to the rigged economy and the diminishing middle class America. So we feel like as much as we definitely need to be wary of and advocating against people voting for Donald Trump, we feel like we need to be talking about issues that Bernie Sanders has been talking about, and that's going to be the key to unity, I think, is if the DNC and the Hillary campaign are able to start showing some meaningful shifts in that direction and staying there and not tacking right towards the general, I think she's going to have a lot more luck winning over those 13 million Bernie Sanders supporters. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel like being a Hillary delegate? Do you guys feel like you are a big majority, or does it feel kind of in the hall like it's two groups? You know, do you guys feel connected?
I personally feel connected. I think unity is the key to this whole thing. Like, stronger together is the point of this whole convention. Like, that's the motto of this convention is stronger together. But you can tell that when you're in the hall, there is some sort of divide there.
Yeah.
But it does depend also what states you're looking at.
Sure.
Nevada had a really turbulent election season. Like, our primary was very just we won. We won the caucus on February 20th, but then we had to go to the county convention, the state convention, and then finally here. And it's just been a lot to take in. Like, there's been a lot of disputes between the Bernie people and the Hillary people. So for us, it's a little different because we're a little bit more turbulent than the other states, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, every state does it a little different, which I think brings us nicely into what the heck does a delegate even do? Like, I know here, like, you wear awesome hats.
Yeah.
You got, like, cool buttons and swag, you know, like, there's a lot of, like, really great feelings about what the delegates are doing.
Yeah.
As we were saying earlier, in the hall during roll call, everybody's excited and shouting, and you know there are people who are representatives and senators and governors, but there's also people who, you know, a 102-year-old woman.
I know.
You know, like, there's also just these people who are average people. So maybe just briefly tell me kind of how you became a delegate and what is your job here?
Okay.
You know?
I'll go. So I've been a lifelong Democrat since I was 18. As soon as I got out of the Army, I started campaigning and volunteering. But I always done every 4 years. And I never kind of questioned the behind-the-scenes process of how those votes that happen in that primary get turned into actual representation here at the convention. I never really just approached it. So the way I became involved was a grassroots organizer back home. Saw my passion during the campaign season, the volunteering and the activism that I was showing, and my ability to communicate Bernie's message in our local community. And she said, "Why don't you run to be a delegate?" And I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And just really quickly, the way in Oregon it works is shortly after the primary, there's a congressional district convention where people have to register to attend, and they have to register to run as a state delegate, a national delegate, or just to show up as a voter to participate in the process and have that voice of who you do send to the convention. So I went to the district convention, Congressional District 5, back in Oregon. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and fortunately, the Bernie supporters voted for me and 3 others to represent them at the Democratic Convention. After that, there was a state convention where state delegates came together who were also voted on at the district convention, and we nominated our delegation chair and some at-large delegates and alternates, just so in case someone got sick or something, we'd have representation on the floor. And so that all happened in June, and then in July we got together, met, and strategized about how we were going to woo all these voters or these delegates at the convention, but that's because we were thinking it was 40 years ago. And
yeah, how did you become a delegate? And you're a pretty young delegate.
I am.
Yeah.
I just turned 18 in March, so this is all very new to me, my first vote and everything. So I'm very honored to be here. So I joined the Hillary Clinton campaign a week after she announced in April of last year. Just super enthused about her and everything she stands for. So I just got involved over Twitter. I contacted one of the organizers, and then I just got involved and did phone calls and canvassing. I became a fellow, so it was sort of like a job, but not a job, you know? So we've just been working really hard in Nevada, and now we're finally here. Same thing as Oregon, it sounds like, with the different levels of the conventions and everything like that where we were elected. And then we each had to give like a speech at the state convention to be elected here. Like over 100 people ran in my specific congressional district, so I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah.
But so yeah, pretty much the same thing. But
it's so funny because it's kind of like an election underneath the election.
Right.
That's
that
so
nobody
true.
knows about.
Yeah, that people never really talk about that much. Do you have specific jobs then once you become a delegate?
Well, so within each delegation, there are what they call whips, and it's not exactly like being in the House of Congress. It's basically someone that's going to make sure people are on the bus to get to the convention on time. People are going to be on the floor. People are going to be in seats. People are going to vote the way that the campaign needs them to. We're expecting that the phone's going to ring at that statewide, in the seating, and we're going to the campaign wants us to vote yay on this or nay on that, and we had papers and stuff. But again, this isn't 1968. But so basically, the whip is basically just helping coordinate everybody. And there were 2 of us who were voted in Oregon. We decided for gender equity to have a male whip and a female whip. So I'm the male whip for Oregon. and Melissa Ponsurak is the female whip. We're both veterans, so that's pretty cool. She's a Marine. I'm Army.
Oh, cool.
And then the campaign appointed some supplemental whips. But it's really just to kind of, some point people that the campaign and our state party can work with to make sure that everyone's getting the messaging, because there's a lot of communication happening.
So much communication. I think the key about this whole thing is communication. Everyone knows what's going on, when it's happening. Like the timing is all, you need to know where you're going to be at what time and everything,
Yeah. So now once you come here and you're a delegate here at the conventions, do you guys work together? Is that part of the unity system where now you are starting to exchange information? And, being here, you're obviously going to meet delegates that you may not have met otherwise,
Yes,
but
exactly.
you're going to start interacting and I guess speak to kind of the unity system now that, and especially now Republicans for Hillary are here too. It's everybody is in one place.
Yeah.
So does that kind of bring you all together naturally?
Well, in Oregon, we're very fortunate because, Oregon, the Oregon Democratic platform is very similar to the Bernie platform. We're very progressive in Oregon. We're very deep blue. And so there is probably more that unites us than divides us as far as, being Democrats in Oregon. There's the moderate wing of the Democratic Party and there's a progressive wing. But I feel in Oregon, we are very similar. Now, we have different ideas about, who should be leading the charge and the judgment and qualification and all that. But as far as actual delegates and meeting my, Hillary delegates, and I've met some great people that I didn't know before this. There's another guy about my age that's a Native American as well, and we've talked about Native American issues because I'm a part Native American, and it's been really great and to make those connections, because regardless of what happens in November in 2016, if from a Bernie Sanders perspective, if we're going to really achieve a bottom-up revolution, the people's revolution, and really give a progressive makeover to the Democratic Party, it's going to take working together.
Yes.
And we can't be, regardless of how people vote in November, we're going to have to work together in these relationships that
I
we're
agree.
forging here at the convention and back home at our state convention, our state party. That's going to be the key to making it happen.
Right. And going off that, it's more than just the presidential election. It's all the local elections that we have. And we all have to work together to get the Democrats up and down the ticket. So that's another part of the thing. And I think meeting all the other Bernie delegates and all of that, it's really fun to meet all the new people and everything. But like I said, Nevada's a really strange state, I feel, in this whole process. I don't know. I feel like we had a more rough lead up to this national convention. But overall, I think it's Wednesday today and tomorrow's the big day.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe by tomorrow night we'll have more unity than we do today, after last night. But, it takes time.
Yeah, it does.
And one other thing I would just say is I talked earlier about the media occupation. Really, again, that's just about the progressive wing of the Democratic Party wanting to be heard, wanting to feel like they're being included, and that the 13 million votes actually, come to really make a meaningful impact on the party. Now, a lot of us are not, super happy with the vice presidential nominee. We felt he was too big, too close to Wall Street, and a corporate Democrat. But we feel like if those kind of if our issues and our platform really truly do become the Democratic platform, and that the platform that we've drafted here in Orlando goes forward and is adopted, we can ban the TPP and put an end to superdelegates like the Unity Commission is now proposing to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully eliminate super PACs. Those are the things that I think would make it really easy at the local level to come together.
Unite,
Because
yeah.
if at the top, this is a bottom-up revolution, but structural things like that can also come from the top down. So I think that would make it really easy to work together. But for all you out there in the local community, we're going to have all these new Bernie-crats coming in. Please listen to them, hear them, respect them, and work with them, because we are passionate and we will bend over backwards, but we feel like we need to be invited to the table and respected.
I think that's a prime example of a party working within its organization. You should have different voices, listening to different things. And I think I'm sitting here as an example of what happens when a strong voice feels like they have absolutely no ears, right?
Yeah.
And we feel we're not being heard, or we feel that the leadership of the party or the candidate of the party has so abandoned our primary points of view that we see no other solution. I mean, to the point where what is traditionally the opposing party, I think, has more in common than the leadership. So I think that it's very important to continue to listen to the voices within, so that you continue to feel as one party. You will have internal debates about the way the party should progress. That's not going to happen all at once. And so when you have this hope for, in 4 years we'll come back, people will continue to listen to us, and we can move gradually in that direction. it's a very different feeling than what's happening in the Republicans, right, within the Republicans.
Yeah. So when it comes to this, though, as a Hillary delegate, do you feel like you guys are starting to embrace all of these other viewpoints as well, or do you feel that unity kind of coming in?
I do. I'm pretty confident. I'm like 1,000% confident that we're going to unite by November. The goal is just to unite by November. I think that Hillary delegates went through the same hurt, the heartache, the emotional trials that the Bernie people are going through right now, that she did in 2008 with Barack Obama, with the superdelegates that went for Obama over her and all of that. So it's similar, and a lot of our delegates, not me, I was a little young to know about that back then, but feel like they are connected in that sort of way. So we have that same point of view that we can talk about and all of that. But I'm really confident that we're going to unite.
Yeah. I think, and that's, again, that is the point of the convention. And again, it's nice to have everyone here being able to talk to each other all at the same time. When it comes to stuff there are all this politics still happening. The email leak that happened over the last weekend and the stepping down of Wasserman Schultz and, all of this. Do you think that, well, first, I guess, coming from kind of a party outsider, how do you view that now that you're kind of working with this group?
Look, politics and democracy is a messy process, right? It's a messy system. And then there's an old joke that says that all the people that actually should be running the country are either too busy cutting hair or driving cabs. And so, and what that means is, look, we don't necessarily get the people who you think, would lead the people who you think would lead the country are probably in your neighborhood or in your home or people you run across every single day. And so the choices we make are for the people who have chosen this career, this line, which is politics, which is going into politics. And it's always going to be messy. It's going to be messy because no one's perfect. I know I wouldn't want to be under the type of scrutiny that any politician is under on a regular basis. But it's also messy because you're running against opponents. And, the pastime of the politician when you're not running is to throw dirt upon your opponent, right? And so you're going to see that, and you're going to see lapses in judgment, and lapses in judgment that we make on a single day basis aren't investigated by the FBI necessarily, and don't constitute potential security issues. But show me an honest politician. Show me a politician with no faults.
Yeah.
Picture.
I was about to say.
I mean, nobody is perfect. Nobody has a flawless.
At least a winning
history,
politician.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys feel like that has affected your experience as delegates here? Has that strengthened your position? Has it weakened your position? Has it done the opposite?
It's kind of in a tough spot right now. The signals being sent that we're being listened to. I mean, all year long, we felt like we were being, gaslighted about, the fact that we had, forces working against the Bernie campaign from the DNC. And that is to say that people were telling us that we were imagining it, we were paranoid, we're sore losers, and we're just making up excuses for why Bernie was underperforming. But with these email leaks coming out, it's clear that was the case. We feel like we have been validated by the leaks.
Sure.
Sorry to say, I had to come to that to, get that out, Lewis Trice said sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? So, but now we're at the point where, W. Wasserman Schultz has resigned.
Yeah.
But is that something that's immediately going to make this, obviously the Sanders supporters, my fellow Sanders supporters were, happy to see that because we felt like there was some accountability being had there.
Yeah.
But unless there's a total revolution of the DNC leadership, then I feel like we're going to be in the same place because right now the people that are leading the DNC now are the same people that knew about these leaks when they were happening, and they're still in office. And W. Wasserman Schultz stepped down. We need a total revolution, and I think that would be one key thing to bringing unity with us because that would show that we are being respected.
Right. Lynette, what do you think? How do you feel about that?
I have a different point of view.
Sure, no, that's fine.
Personally, I really like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. A lot of the Hillary people do, obviously.
Sure, and now she's working with the Hillary campaign.
Right. So. I do think that this new email scandal, all of this that's coming out right now, right before the convention started and during the convention and all of this, is sort of aggravating the unity, sort of.
Yeah.
But the point is, I think in our minds, the Hillary people's minds, she won more votes than Bernie.
Yeah,
the point is she won. And the DNC could not overturn that decision. You just look at the votes. She won more than 1 million more votes than he did.
Right.
And the platform is the most progressive platform in the history of our party. So I think it's a good year for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point, is that as much as the DNC can email each other and say, here's what we like,
Right.
this decision was made
By us, by
voters,
the people.
right, at the end of the day. And yes, superdelegates can influence that decision, but mathematically speaking, the voters made a lot of this decision, if
Yes.
not almost all of it, right? But at the same time, moving past it and getting through that together and working together in the end is the goal.
Yes.
So I guess kind of really briefly, do you feel like, I guess that's possible, just to kind of wrap it up, you know?
I think right now the eyes of the world are on what are the 13 million Sanders supporters like myself going to do. I've been asked that probably a million times here at this convention. And really, I don't think people should put the onus on the Bernie Sanders supporters. Bernie did his part. He endorsed Hillary. He got behind her. He pledged his delegates to her yesterday. So Bernie's done his part. We're kind of waiting and seeing to see what the party and Hillary Clinton and the campaign are going to do.
Yeah.
What are they going to do to bring us in? And, you know, people say, well, if you believe, you say you believe in Bernie, and, you know, Bernie's saying to support Hillary, so shouldn't you just do that? But we believe in Bernie. We believe that he is saying that we believe that he's saying what he believes to be true, that Hillary Clinton is a better candidate than Trump. Not everybody in the 13 million Bernie voters,
they're not all going to agree on that, yeah.
So that's why it's going to take meaningful things like, you know, structural change within the DNC and other things to show the progressives that we're being heard and that we're being respected in the party. And I think you'll see that's going to be the outcome. The onus is on the party and the campaign.
Right.
I think it's important to know that this week is focused on the Democrats, but after everything's said and done here and we moved on, we have a general election to look at.
Yeah. Whole different ballgame.
So we have to come together. Not the party has to do its healing and come together, but then the nation has to come together and look at stuff beyond the party and decide between the two candidates that we're going to have
And the issues
which
that they're gonna
which is
be
better for
faced.
the country overall.
Yeah.
And I think then beyond that, you have to look at who's gonna govern, and the way we govern here is as a unity and together and divided government. So who best can work with Congress? And in Congress, there's going to be Republicans and Democrats working together. And so the idea is not only does the Democrat Party have to come together, but after that, after the elections, hopefully Hillary wins, and then the country comes together, and we actually start moving forward and get beyond kind of this bipartisan divisions.
Lynette,
Yeah.
final thought?
I think we're going to come together. I'm confident in us to come together,
Yeah.
but I do think it's going to take time. I think
Yeah.
the goal is just to get it done by November.
Yeah.
Like RICARDO said, it's just the goal is to beat Donald Trump. And I hope a lot of Bernie people and a lot of Republicans like yourself realize that Hillary Clinton is so much better than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And the goal is just to have a Democrat in the White House.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in to Secret Daily today. Make sure you subscribe so you get more of our live streams. We're going to be here for another few days. You can also find us on Snapchat. You can find us on Instagram and, of course, on Twitter. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Feel the
Bye,
burn.
guys.